The Delhi bomb blast is having serious repercussions even after 3 days, and the plan that was hatched by a bunch of doctors, some of whom got caught, and one of them who turned out to be a suicide bomber right outside the Red Fort metro station Monday night, the entire sinister plot is unraveling with each passing day, with each passing hour. Right at the heart of it, the heart of this sinister plot is a dubious university called the Falah University out in the National Capital Region in the outskirts of Faridabad, which started off as an engineering college and then became a medical institution, and we're given to understand does not have the requisite accreditation, at least certainly not renewed, over the last few years. At least 3 of the doctors who were part of this terror module were either working or studying inside this university. The labs of this university were used to test the explosives, the 2,900 kilograms of explosives that were stashed away by personnel in this terror module. Some of that was stored away in room number 13 in one of the hostels inside this university. How did they not know about this? How were they allowed to function? Did no one in the circle, the social circle, the friend circle, the teacher circle of these individuals concerned, whether they were the hostel warden or their teachers or the resident doctors there, did no one have a clue about what this terror module and the individuals inside this module were actually up to? How did they not even have a whiff about it? We will get to all of that and more in just a second, but now we've got fresh information bases the interrogation of the arrested accused, and there are some startling revelations that have been made. As per intelligence sources, 8 people from this nexus were selected to carry out serial blasts in at least 4 different locations. That explains why they had so much of explosives, almost 3 tons of explosives that were found in different locations in and around the Falah University. This network of 8 individuals had planned to carry out these attacks in 4 different cities, in 4 different batches. Each of these groups had 2 members, and 4 such groups were formed. All of these groups were supposed to be given improvised explosive devices. According to the plan, all these groups were supposed to carry out these blasts simultaneously, but the arrest of 3 doctors who all trace their roots, trace their vocation back to this Falah University, the seizure of this 2,900 kilograms of explosive material, and of course, eventually what culminated just before 7 p.m. in the evening on Monday outside the Red Fort, that completely busted this plan. I want to bring you up to speed with what is the latest as far as the investigation is concerned, who all are part of this, and how did this entire thing continue for a number of years without anyone raising their antennas about it.
The investigation into the Delhi bomb blast case is still ongoing. This morning, a vehicle, a silver Brezza, was recovered from inside the university itself, and this vehicle belonged to Shahina. There were inputs that there could be arms, ammunition and explosives that could still be inside that vehicle, and that is the reason why the bomb disposal squad arrived over here to carry out a thorough search. Apart from this, another person who has been taken into custody is Dr. Farooq. He has been taken into custody from GMC Medical College in Hapur. He is also being accused of being a part of this entire syndicate, and guess what? He was also associated with the Falah University. He had worked over here as well, and just a year ago he had gone ahead and joined that college in Hapur. Not only this, but also there is a lot of suspicion that this university, room number 13, building number 17, was being used as a control and command center for all these white-collar terrorists. All important meetings were happening inside the university itself. The Imam has also been arrested, and the name of the university is continuously getting defamed. Today, the NAC also issued a statement and in fact issued a show-cause notice to this university, asking them that how can you claim to be NAC certified when you have not even applied for this. Many loopholes that have come out in the manner in which this university has been operating, and that is the reason why now financial investigation will also start on this university.
The center of this entire conspiracy, at least a large number of individuals who are part of this conspiracy have some association or the other to this Falah University, from where my colleague was reporting a moment ago. 3 doctors associated with this institution were linked to the blast that happened at Delhi's Red Fort, just outside Delhi's Red Fort on the 10th of November. Pulwama-based Dr. Muhammad Umar Nabi, who was the suicide bomber, Dr. Muzammil Gane, and the financier Dr. Shaheen, the lady doctor from Lucknow, In fact, we're also given to understand, and as you heard from my colleague a moment ago, some of the explosives were stored inside this university campus, inside room number 13 of building number 17. This was a hostel where Dr. Muzammil used to reside, and that's where the plot was allegedly hatched. The university laboratory was allegedly used to procure, to store, and to mix this explosive material that was later seized from a godown in Faridabad. So the university lab was being used for these purposes. Again, somehow the university authorities, the people who were running that place, didn't seem to have a clue. Then there is a gentleman called Dr. Nisar Al-Hassan. He's a professor in the Department of Medicine at Al-Falah. He was earlier dismissed by the Jammu and Kashmir administration, this was a few years ago, allegedly on links of terror. How did this man find employment in an alternative university? The founder of this university, and that's why the antecedents of this university are also suspect, the founder of this university is a man named Javed Ahmed Siddiqui. He's originally a resident of Mao in Madhya Pradesh. He was accused of fraud worth 7.5 crore rupees after a chit fund company that his family used to run went bust. He was jailed for 3 years in 2001, released from jail, and then ran away from Mao and started this in Faridabad in Haryana. The overall source of funding of the Al-Falah University is now being looked into. The Enforcement Directorate, the Economic Offences Wing of other investigating agencies, as well as the NIA, which is the primary lead investigating agency in this, will be conducting joint investigations of forensic audit of who all were funding Al-Falah University. It's neither accredited nor has it applied to the National Accreditation Council because its accreditation, we're given to understand, expired in 2016. For the last 8+ years now, this university has been functioning without a NAC accreditation. But despite all of this, it started MD courses in 2019. It started as an engineering college way back in the early 2000s, and then somehow, one fine day, it became a private medical university. Again, the antecedents of the owner, the people who were involved, and at least 4 out of these 8 people who were part of this terror module being associated, employed, or studying in this university does raise some very, very serious questions about what was going on and who all were involved.
हम एजेंसीज को पूर्णतः सहयोग करेंगे और कर रहे हैं। यूनिवर्सिटी की वाइस चांसलर साहिबा इस बारे में विचार कर रही हैं। उन्होंने अपनी अपनी टीमों का गठित कर दिया है, जो मुझे जानकारी मिली है। देखिए, अल-फलाह की कोई भी फंडिंग बाहर से किसी भी तरीके से नहीं है। अल-फलाह की यूनिवर्सिटी की जितनी भी फीस आती है वही अल-फलाह यूनिवर्सिटी को चलाती है। इसी तरीके से जो आपने इसके संचालक के बारे में बात की है, उनके ऊपर कुछ केसेस जो हुए थे वो पूरी तरीके से एक्विटल हो चुका है।
I want to go across to our debate tonight because there are some very, very serious questions that are being raised about this college, the people who run this college, how these individuals are all linked to this university and no one seemed to have a clue, and also this idea that doctors who are sworn by the Hippocratic Oath to save lives have become the doctors of death. Charu Pragya is spokesperson of the BJP joining us, Dolly Sharma, spokesperson of the Congress joining us, SP Waid is former DGP of Jammu and Kashmir, and Tara Karta is former director with the National Security Council Secretariat. Thank you very much for joining us. Let me start with you, Charu. I mean, serious questions are being asked about this university. They did not have an accreditation which was renewed after 2016. Yeah. There were medical courses that were started in this university. We don't know if they had accreditation from the Medical Council of India to start these medical courses. At least 3 out of these doctors, including one, the suicide bomber who killed himself and killed 10 other people outside Red Fort on Monday, are directly employed by this university. How come no one, the authorities, the people inside this university, how come no one had a clue?
What has happened, Zaka, is beyond horrific. Beyond horrific, and what this university was up to without correct accreditation, hiring people with suspect backgrounds, because Umair, who killed himself in the blast, the one who was the suicide bomber in the blast, he actually was kicked out for allowing a patient to die on his watch for negligence from Anantnag, from another hospital. And yet, without even simple background checks, numerous people were hired by this so-called university. See, all the links, whether financial, whether links to terror outfits, where the money is coming from, where these trained personals are coming from, it's all being investigated, and this investigation is happening across the country. The investigation is happening across different investigative agencies, across states, and that's exactly why I want to say this. What happened in Delhi was of course heartbreaking. Every single life lost, every drop of blood spilled is heartbreaking. But compare that to a time a decade ago when going to Sarojini Nagar at Diwali could result in your death. When the number of terror incidents actually affecting our country were to the tune of some 5,670 incidents over 10 years, probably more than that, and we were able to put a full stop to that because of political will, because of coordination between agencies, because let's join the dots here. Ricin recovered in Gujarat, it was enough to bring down 2,500 people. That's the amount of ricin that was caught and seized by the authorities in Gujarat. 2,900, nearly 3 tons of ammonium nitrate found in Faridabad in Haryana. Now these are mind-boggling numbers. Some things happened in Punjab recently. Pune, there was a bust. Gujarat, I have already mentioned. When you bring this all together, I want to thank our intelligence agencies, and I'm just keeping my fingers crossed that every single person which was linked to this blast in Delhi today is at the earliest brought to task.
Dolly Sharma, you know, we've heard this for the last 2 or 3 days. BJP spokesperson after BJP spokesperson is saying, you know, this was a much bigger attack that was averted, and we have learned from intelligence sources that there were 4 of these modules. They were planning 4 different blasts, serial blasts, not just in Delhi but in other places. And when you have 2,900 kilograms of explosives recovered, that's not just meant for one blast. So the BJP and the government are saying that our agencies actually stopped a much bigger blast, and we should be thankful for that.
Zaka, my heart goes out to all those who lost their loved ones in the terrible, terrible incident, you know, in the near the Red Fort in Delhi. Number one, we stand with the families, you know, of all those 13 people who died, you know, we stand with the victim, the families of the victim, with every citizen who has, you know, a sense of safety has been shaken today with this incident. And you know, there were other incidents. The explosive were found in Faridabad, then in Dehradun, and there were chemicals found in Pilakwa in big numbers. But seriously, it raises a big question in the minds of every citizen of this country. Is like, our home ministry is failing. It is the capital of this country. We all were thinking after Operation Sindoor that they will not dare to look at India now. But time and again, this is happening in India, and people have started to live in fear. You know, this is something which is beyond expectations when it comes to the BJP. You know, I have seen, whether it is a railway accident happening, whether it is a paper leak happening, whether it is a terror attack happening, there is no accountability. There is no accountability. No one is held accountable. For the first time in the BJP-led NDA government, we are watching that no minister is held accountable. They are praising the agencies. After 13 people died. In Pahalgam, we lost 26 lives.
Yes, we are.
After that, 13. Every life is important.
Zaka, give me
every life is important.
Yes, absolutely.
Every life is important, and you can't be saying, you know, it is extreme failure of the agencies that in the national capital we have lost.
No, I will not allow anyone to say that and get away with it.
No, one second, Charu, one second. Let her finish. I'll come to you after that. Yeah.
Near the Red Fort, and which nobody can take this lightly. Who should be held accountable?
Okay.
Why should we not ask questions
Charu
to the
Pragya,
Home
respond.
Minister who
Political
was
accountability, institutional accountability. At the end of the day, 13 people died. Somebody needs to be held accountable for it.
Absolutely, Zaka, but I am not going to tolerate anybody saying that this is an intelligence failure, because I, for one, I am grateful for the work done by intelligence agencies, and this does not take away from the seriousness of the Delhi blast. But let me ask you this, where were you when Yasin Malik was on stage shaking hands with the UPA Prime Minister Manmohan Singh ji? Where were you? Where were you when the courts were opened at midnight for Yaqub Menon, another known terrorist? Where were you when Sonia Gandhi was crying for terrorists during the Batla House encounter? Let me remind you, Bodh Gaya, Hyderabad, Varanasi, Pune, Assam, Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Jaipur, Delhi multiple times, Mumbai multiple times, 26/11. All these incidents happened during the UPA regime, and what were you all doing? Rahul Gandhi was partying then, and Rahul Gandhi is partying today. Where is he? He left the country.
Zaka, I would like to answer this.
This newfound sense of nationalism is not at all impressive.
By saying that there were terror attacks in the past, I don't think it
nature.
mitigates or takes away from what happened on Monday. But anyway, I want to go to SP Ved and to Tara Karta on this. No, one second. Let me move away from the political spokespersons, please. Mr. Ved, at the heart of it, this university, and I'm really, asking that point again and again, because who sanctioned the land and the licenses that were given to this university? It started off, I believe, as an engineering college, and then it suddenly one fine day became a medical university. No one knows how. The National Accreditation Council says that the accreditation of this institution was not renewed since 2016. They started a MD course, which is a postgraduate course for doctors, in 2019 without even an accreditation. And then look at, the individuals concerned as far as this module are concerned. At least 3 of them were directly employed in this university. The lab of this university was used to cook up these explosives. Some of this explosive was actually stored inside one of the hostel rooms used by one of these doctors. And no one in the university, principal, wardens, teachers, resident doctors, no one had a clue.
Good evening, Zaka. Good evening to my co-panelists and your viewers. Zaka, whatever you described, in fact, it really astonishes everyone in this country how murky things are, and how can a university run without the approval of without the accreditation of NAC, without approval of medical courses, without approval of Indian Medical Council. I really wonder how these degrees were recognized. Can you recognize these degrees which are not approved by Indian Medical Council?
Exactly.
And how do you imply person who is dismissed by J&K government for terror charges? Somebody dismissed for fraud is actually working there. Look at the way, even I would say, even the owner, the way land has been allotted almost free of cost. How many 30 acre or whatever number I was reading in the media, just next to Delhi, with the kind of background the owner has, who has been in jail for almost 3 years for a fraud. What kind of murky
So
deal?
how did this happen? Because I refuse to believe, these individuals were operating in a vacuum. Clearly, they were going to this university every day. They had friends and colleagues there. They had acquaintances there. They had bosses and subordinates there. How did none of these people know?
Zaka, can this happen? You have all these murky things happening, and there are so many people all around. Can this happen without the knowledge of authorities? Tell me, if I am Vice Chancellor of that university, after all, I have my system of getting feedback. What is happening in the laboratory? What is happening in the hostel? You have a warden looking after the hostel. What kind of people are coming? You store arms. You store so much of ammunition. You are in the laboratory. You are preparing certain material which can be suicidal for the people. Can all these things happen without the knowledge of the authorities? And if they were, then it was not in their knowledge, then they must explain why it was happening.
Okay, I want to ask Tara Karta also. One of the other things that's been mind-boggling in this is many are calling this white-collar jihad. These are well-educated people who are coming from well-to-do families. We've had examples in the past. The 9/11 bombers, for example, many of them were qualified engineers and people who knew how to fly an airplane and so on and so forth. Ayman al-Zawahiri, for example, Al-Qaeda's number 2, was a doctor, hailed from a family of doctors. Osama bin Laden himself came from a family of engineers. But in India, this whole narrative was, oh, terrorism is undertaken by people who come from alienated backgrounds, who are misinformed, who are brainwashed into believing this twisted ideology. What would it take for a doctor to turn into this ideology, and a savior of life, someone who is sworn by the Hippocratic oath to become a merchant of death? I mean, that's just mind-boggling, Tarakata. What explains this?
I agree, Zaka. It's something which really erodes everything that you believe in. That, you go to a doctor and you sort of tell him all stuff and everything. But this is, a lot of people are talking about white collar. It's the first time. It is not at all the first time, like you said. You remember that module which was busted in Kerala? A bunch of engineers, doctors, and the Islamic State was recruiting them specifically as doctors. One was this Purail or something. I remember their names also. One doctor this was from Srinagar. This boy was studied in Brisbane, MBA. He was recruited by Islamic State. That was not very long ago. So this has been happening. Islamic State in particular has been picking up these people. But for us, it hits home because this is, inside your country, they're working against us. So, in fact, at one time, we used to, when I was still in government, we used to be so proud of the fact that nobody from Kashmir ever joined the Islamic State. But then it's very frightening. But
so what's driving them then? I want to pin it down. Is it a political ideology? Is it that they are misguided? Is it that they are brainwashed? Because economic, strata or criteria doesn't seem to cut it, at least in this case.
No, the radicalization, according to statistics, radicalization is highest among the educated people because they read more, they're more aware of what's going on, they're more exposed to society. So that's a given across the world. It's not just here. But the point I want to, if you'll permit me, this question of accountability, right? The educational institution, 16, I think last month, if I'm not mistaken, CBI raided some 16 universities in UP, another 10 in Himachal Pradesh. This has to be held accountable, not just in this terror case, but because our degrees have no value anywhere anymore. That's a separate thing. This has to be followed up. Third thing is that, I'm very happy that the intelligence, that she has supported the intelligence agencies. I would assume that people would be congratulating the government on getting this thing exposed. I have people coming to me and saying, Madam, hum log bach gaye. Because you expose this module, which is really huge. And this is, to me at least, professionally speaking, this is a massive victory.
Okay. We've got more interrogation details before I go back to our guests. There are interrogation details. Remember, at least 5 of these people have been interrogated either by the NIA or by the Jammu and Kashmir Police. Of course, this whole bust-up came about because the Faridabad module got busted with this 2,900 kilograms of explosives. So some of the interrogation details CNN News 18 has managed to access through police sources. It suggests a couple of things here. Number one, the involvement of Pakistan-based actors. Number two, there is some amount of strategic tradecraft that is associated with state-directed handlers. The investigators have also identified one of the key external handlers as a man named Ukasha or Abu Ukasha. He's believed to be a Pakistani intermediary who's functioning as a state-directed operative of an intelligence agency. I don't think, there's too many prizes for guessing which that state-backed intelligence agency is. There's crucial evidence of this coordination that comes from some of the travel records and the accounts of these arrested suspects. Some of these individuals there are passport stamps to show that they have traveled to different countries. Who they met there and what they did in those countries, we don't know. But the countries that they visited are part of their passport stamp records. So the question that's being asked, and I want to play out a small excerpt in just a second before I go back to our panelists.
દિલ્હીમાં એક આતંકવાદી ઘટનામાં કાર વિસ્ફોટમાં 9 લોકોનું મૃત્યુ થયું અને 25ની આસપાસ નાગરિકો ઘવાયા છે. બોમ્બ બ્લાસ્ટની કાર્યવાહી કરવાના સૌ જે કોઈ भी જે સ્તરે આની અંદર સંડોવાયેલા છે એ સૌને કાયદાની અદાલત સામે લઈ જઈ સૌને ઉચિત સજા થાય એના માટે ભારતના વડાપ્રધાનનો જે સંકલ્પ છે એ નિશ્ચિત રૂપે પૂરો થશે અને એક એવું ઉદાહરણ બેસવાનું છે કે જેથી ભવિષ્યમાં આવી ક્યારેય આતંકવાદી ઘટના ના થાય.
That was the Union Home Minister who was addressing a gathering there in Gujarat. He's basically saying that whoever is responsible for this will be brought to justice, and this is a pledge that the Prime Minister has taken in the CCS that happened yesterday. If Charu is there, I don't know if she's still there, we'll go back to her. But SP Ved, you know, we are getting slowly but surely some of the pieces of this puzzle, particularly the handlers. One particular person named Okasha seems to be linked to a state-backed agency. Like I said, no prizes for guessing which that state-backed agency is. When Operation Sindoor happened, the government of India had changed its policy and made it clear that any act of terror, particularly if it's an act of cross-border terror, will be considered as an act of war. If it emerges in the next few days, this whole thing firms up, that there were handlers who were sitting on the other side of the border in foreign country, then what should the government of India do?
See, Zaka, the policy of government of India is very clear. That any act of terror will be act of war, and Pakistan will bear consequences of that. And I'm sure government has made it very clear, and that's what you are listening to the Honorable Home Minister. But let me tell you here, the Pakistan hand is definitely there. After all, if you see the investigation started from Srinagar with the posters, and posters are of Jaish Mohammed. Jaish Mohammed is creation of what?
The ISI
of Pakistan, and Pakistan based. After they were hit in the month of May, I think all this is not a work of 2-3 days or 2-3 weeks. It's a well planned, very cleverly planned big operation for a huge damage in which local people have been brainwashed and radicalized. The local material has been used. Pakistani, they have smartly not sent their people. Otherwise, you have seen number of attacks in India where Pakistani infiltrated and then attacked, whether it is parliament attack or other.
But Ved Saab, tell me, this Irfan, there's a Maulvi who's been picked up, I believe, from Shopian, who was the one who was running this local seminary there, and he's the one who, you know, reportedly brainwashed this Dr. Omar and Dr. Adil and Muzammil and so on. And this has been going on. They have known to each other since 2018. This is much before, you know, 370 or any of the recent events. Now, my point again is, none of the family members picked this up. None of the friend circle picked this up. None of the other people in the seminary picked this up. Now, post facto, this Irfan has been arrested, and now they are piecing together all of this. Isn't that, again, something that went amiss?
Zaka, a lot of work has been done in Kashmir, but there are a lot of, I think, ground realities which actually need to be handled. And as I know Kashmir, nothing is that is not known to people. When society gets affected, lot of its elements get affected. It is not that family members did not know of that Maulvi. I just cannot believe it.
Exactly.
His neighbors, his associates did not know it. They know in Kashmir, the people who are all connected, there is a very close-knit society. So I will not believe that people are all around that Maulvi did not know what he is doing it. It is being done with a design, and this time it was planned for Delhi and rest of India. And very deep-rooted conspiracy for a huge damage.
So I come back to that point, and I want to ask Charu Pragya this. If this is indeed true that this Maulvi Irfan, who is now in the custody of the Jammu and Kashmir Police, and he's supposed to be the man who radicalized this Dr. Omar and Dr. Muzammil and Dr. Adil, and this whole thing came to light because of one alert police officer, I think it was an SHO in Naugam, and then of course backed by the SSP of Pulwama. When they saw somebody putting out, this Dr. Adil putting out posters of the Jaish-e-Mohammed, something alerted them and said, why are Jaish-e-Mohammed posters being put out? This Adil got arrested, and he's the one who spilled the beans on this entire Faridabad module. So it is sheer providence that this whole module got busted. My question to you, Charu, is if this has been happening since 2018, then what was the government doing?
Zaka, see, it's so easy to turn back and ask what was the government doing. But the fact is that modules which are working against India are obviously going to be in this very hidden zone. We've always found after every incident, there has been some kind of insider hand, insider support, terror sympathizers even, people who are trying to whitewash the entire incident by finding some way of looking at it with sympathy and logic. So all of this also points to the same direction, and no, I do not believe that everybody did not know about it. I'm sure there were a handful of people who were complicit, a handful of people who were supportive, like the founder of this university, for example. He'd been in jail for fraud for multiple years, for 3+ years. These people have travelled all the way to Turkey, met handlers, come back. They have been working behind the scenes in a underground manner for a very long time. I read a report somewhere which said that the recce had started in January itself. Now you imagine the extent of what they had been planning for the 6th of December. And this is, I'm quoting this as per reports. So 6th of December could have been a horrifying date that would have shaken up the entire country. I think we need to do one thing as Indians. One, we need to unite against terror. Like, there has to be no excuse, no sympathizing, no talking about their background, no talking about the conditions from which they have come, white collar, blue collar, it does not matter. And every time a module is busted, someone from the opposition cannot stand up to question the probe and defend the the accused or dilute the narrative, because this is how terror gets
Ma'am, who is diluting the narrative? Who has stopped you from going after these modules? Who is putting a spoke in the wheels? I mean, after Sindoor happened, the government of India declared every act of terror will be an act of war. If this whole thing has started by somebody pasting JEM posters, then what is stopping you from acting? Who is stopping you from acting?
The government is acting. Zaka, like I said, you're able to talk about all of this because the government has been acting, and the government has been acting across state, across agencies. What I'm saying here is that there are still people, whether in the Samajwadi Party, whether in the Congress today also. Shashi Tharoor ji posted this letter from 5 people belonging to the Muslim community who've served India in very high ranks, trying to separate radical Islam from what happened. How can you do that if you're not going to look the problem in the eye and actually admit to what the problem is? How are you going to find a solution?
Respond. There is a narrative that is brought in to dilute this. The religion angle is brought in. Not all terrorists, are radical Islamists or so some kind of a justification that's being given. Don't look at it from the religious angle, so on and so forth. And she's saying that many members of your party are also agreeable to that view.
Yeah, Zaka, you're asking me?
That's what Charu has alleged. She has said about certain members of your party.
I just want to remind Charu a statement which then Chief Minister Narendra Modi ji had given when UPA was in power. Please listen to it, Zaka.
ये नक्सलवादी हैं, उनके पास शस्त्र और बारूद कहां से आता है? वो तो विदेश की धरती से आता है, और सीमाएं संपूर्ण रूप से आपके कब्जे में है। सीमा सुरक्षा बल आपके कब्जे में है। जो आपके कब्जे में है उसको तो संभालो, और जो विदेश से बारूद आता है, शस्त्र आते हैं, आतंकवादियों के पास पहुंच जाते हैं, उसको तो रोको।
No, so net, Dolly, what you were also not able to stop it. BJP government is also not able to stop it. What has changed?
Please, you had given her.
You
had given her so much of time.
Go on.
Now undisturbed. Please give me a minute. Yeah. So this you must have heard. He was the chief minister then, and now he is a prime minister sitting. So these are the same questions that as a responsible opposition I would also like to ask, and anybody sitting in the opposition would like to ask, because it is the matter of the lives of the people of this country. Number one. Secondly, Zaka, they said नोटबंदी होगी तो आतंकवाद खत्म हो जाएगा, 370 हटेगा तो आतंकवाद खत्म हो जाएगा. Time and again they were making such statements, but even today nobody is held accountable. She was talking about the past. Yes, there were resignations. Home Minister then resigned Chief Minister of Maharashtra then resigned. You tell me now, Zaka, anybody, if railway accidents happen, nobody resigns. If paper leaks time and again happen, nobody resigns. After time and again, there are multiple attacks.
Okay.
Now in the capital of this country, who is held accountable? And as a responsible opposition, this is the duty of an opposition to ask questions to the sitting government, because every life matters.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. No doubt, in a democracy, questions need to be asked and have to be asked, and answers need to be sought. But at the same time, I think we also need to confront this reality that there is a strain of this twisted ideology which knows really no borders, no boundaries, not even any kind of economic strata. If doctors who are sworn to protect life and save life are being brainwashed by this twisted ideology into taking life, and that too, now the death toll has gone up to 13 is what I'm being told in this blast that happened outside the Red Fort metro station, then that is something that we seriously need to wake up and understand the nature of this problem and confront this problem.